One of the first things, and some of you may have already received a note from Mark Spiegel about the last two Planning Commission hearings. And if you want a little more information, Bob has a couple of things to share that we just have bullet points. So then we can move on to a couple of other people that we want to hear from.
Well, what I was going to say is those two planning commissions, they are advisory, and their approval or disapproval has no important impact. What they do is make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, which will be in October and November. We got a chance to do a dry run on it of our arguments. And it was interesting on the Ask Gary Hotel. They agreed with us that changing the density from 1 unit per 26 acres, 26 units per acre to 4 times that amount violated the density requirements of the comprehensive plan, which we've been arguing about forever. And they actually turned it down on that basis. It's ironic that the prior 2 weeks, the Village Hotel asked to change the definition of overlay district density to say that it didn't include hotels, which seems like changing the regulations, but they passed that. So it's a little hard to figure out where this is going to go, other than that they have been logically inconsistent on whether density applies on Siesta Key to commercial properties. And we're going to keep harping on that. Both of them passed a height exception, and I think that's still one of our bigger arguments. And at least one of them had a problem in sending out the notices for the Planning Commission. They didn't send out a public notice postcard for the parking garage down there on Old Stickney Point. So that's sort of a procedural issue. Anyways, we're having we've had a couple of meetings since then. We have another one next Monday. And one of the big discussions is whether we complain to the county that they're not following their comprehensive plan and their zoning documents in a legal document that would actually be a court filing. And so we'll see where this all goes, but that's one of the areas we're pursuing right now. That's, I guess, the update I wanted to give you. We're still have sufficient funds to do our work through the BCC meetings, but we probably will, depending on how those come out, have to consider doing something more like a legal action. But that's sort of where we are right now on that. If there's any questions about where it is, I'd be glad to answer some of them.
I have my hand up. Go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, I really want to try to get them to focus on a comprehensive traffic study that includes effects of a barrier island. We do not have 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. traffic issues like they have in downtown. We have swelling daytime traffic. And I attended both of those planning commission meetings, and we saw the county staff fumble like crazy answering the questions about the traffic study. They don't have one. So it's
but you also saw it had no effect on them.
And the state says that the traffic doesn't matter. That's basically
so we will have our expert likely come back for the BCC, and we'll try to have him make his points one more time to see if there's a more respectful audience. But we totally agree with you. We hired an expert. He got some data and made a very argument that they need to comprehensively look at the impact of not one, not two, but all 4 of the proposed hotels cumulatively to see if there's room out there. And basically what they said was there's already a problem. This just makes it a little bit
Right.
worse.
What a stupid response. I get you, but I'd like to see your consultant paint a picture 4-5 years from now with the potential of 570 cars added at spring break. And let's talk about Saturday morning when there's check-in and Saturday afternoons when there's checkouts. I mean, let's
Please.
paint a picture of the future. I can't even imagine what that traffic is going to be like.
I agree with you. And the thing he's missing is you have to be able to model the base case, what's going on now, and then add up to 4 hotels onto it. The state has the data that shows what that traffic is, but they won't release it to us. And the Metropolitan Planning Organization for the 4-county area won't release it. And we talked to Spencer, who was just on here, and he doesn't have it. So we're sort of running, Christian was supportive of getting that, and we're still trying, but the alternative is to buy it for $6,000. And so we're thinking about it, but we're not happy about the lack of interest by the staff
Right.
on this data. But I think it's a perfectly valid point, but it's required by the comprehensive plan to look at cumulative effects.
One of the things we haven't really targeted, and I had this come up recently just because I go up to St. Petersburg and North St. Petersburg quite often because where my family lives, but it has one of the highest insurance rates in the state, car insurance rates, and it's because of all of the accidents that occur there out as you get closer to the beaches. And a lot of people, I mean, every time I'm there, I see an accident. And every time I'm there, every time. So one of the things we might need to get is some actuarial data of real accidents and real events, because until you hit an area governmentally with data like that, they don't feel it's their responsibility. But when it's present and it changes the quality of life for people and it increases the cost of rescue operations, hospitalizations, and car crashes, those are the kind of things they listen to. And this is how we got to get help on the north end of our key. There were so many deaths that had occurred, and they went to the state database to get that data. And that's how they convinced both commissions. So that's something else we should probably think about.
Okay. Tom, I'm going to let you go next.
Thank you. I just have a question. If that data is, property of the state, why don't we put a FOIA request in as public information? We want to have that and ask Spencer to help us get it. That, I don't know why we can't get that.
We have, and what FDOT said is they bought that from a third party, and their license for the data excludes providing it to any private entity like us, but they can provide it to the MPO and to the county. We actually had a meeting with Spencer about helping us get that data, and we're still trying, but they're not too interested in helping.
Unbelievable.
Well,
Unbelievable.
Christian Ziegler understands it because he's a very database kind of guy. If I knew anything about him, he's all about those numbers. That is something we are pursuing, and we may actually have to purchase it, which if we did and we felt it was useful, if we have to spend $6,000 out of the coalition funds that people have contributed to, that may be where we have to go.
Okay. Chris, you wanted to add a comment?
Not Chris, I think it's Scott. Is it Scott?
Is it
Scott.
Scott? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Scott. Yeah, I would suggest that one of the problems with our traffic studies is the developers always use Kimberly Horn, which is Commissioner Miles' company, and he's clearly in the pocket of the developers. So as a result, they use what they say. There's no traffic at 41 and Stickney Point Road. There's no increase in traffic if we put a hotel instead of a Wells Fargo bank. So if we can prohibit Kimberly Horn from participating, I think we might get an honest traffic report.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, Chris, if I'm not saying your name correctly, that's what it says on your, I guess, is that you, Chris?
He has his hand up. Chris Koffler?
Yeah,
Right.
I don't have
ahead.
a question. Sorry, I guess I got a computer malfunction. Take the hand off. That's my
Not
fault.
a problem.
You answered my questions. Thank you.
All right, I wanted to ask Bob, when's the next hotel up for review? We've got 2 down, we've got at least 1 or 2 more to go.
The other 2 aren't scheduled,
Not yet.
so
Okay.
I don't know.
All right,
The next thing that's scheduled is the Village Hotel, and it's on October the 29th in front of the BCC.
okay. So October the 29th right now, and then the fourth one would be the Wells Fargo, but we
No,
don't.
no,
No.
It's the 27th, isn't it?
it's the 27th, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's for the, call it the Anderson Hotel then.
And
The
it's the
brand new
Board
one.
of County Commissioners that actually makes a decision.
Correct. The Wells Fargo one and remodeling Mike Holderness's hotel has been not yet deemed complete. So
No.
it hasn't even been scheduled for the Planning Commission, let alone the BCC. I think they're trying to ram through the Anderson proposal to remove all density limits on commercial property
Yes.
countywide, including the barrier islands.
Right, right. Makes sense. Okay, that's all the questions.
Yeah, would you like to do your part now, Jean, about?
No, I'm gonna pass. We'll do mine because I don't have my data until.
Jean, Tom has a question. Tom has a question.
He didn't raise his hand.
Well,
Oh,
I
he's
think
raising his
I
hand.
didn't know how to
visually.
raise
I know
your
that.
hand on the
Tom, I
digital.
gotta teach you how to raise your hand. Go ahead. I'm asking you to unmute. Go ahead and unmute. You're muted.
We can't hear you.
You gotta unmute, Tom. You are muted.
Unmute, Tom.
I don't think he knows how to do
There
it.
he
How about that? Can you hear
There
me
he
now?
goes.
Okay.
Now you can talk.
Okay, somebody's forgetting about in this whole thing is they need to have the survey done by somebody that's familiar with the stuff that goes on the island. Because the survey that they getting their traffic from was done on February 3rd, which is a Wednesday. Wednesday is the slowest day of the week and February 3rd is off season. So everything that they've got is not correct. I'm not saying that they did anything wrong, but they just don't know what they're doing. They're not familiar with the island and its operation. So the numbers are getting out. Somebody's throwing out 560 things in the future. It's over 1,000. It's 1,100 and some, and potential. So they're using numbers that aren't even close to right. And everybody's forgetting about this. So I think that somewhere in the line. Huh?
Understand, yes. We have, but don't forget, we have Tracy with us from Save
Right.
Siesta Key. So we
Yep.
probably should move to that because I think we're almost out of time. And Tracy's been hanging in with us to give us an update on the status of the Siesta Key Incorporation work that she's been doing.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you for having me. So I'm just gonna do a quick reminder of the goals from the beginning of this whole thing. And if you all recall, one of the objective was to complete the feasibility study, write the charter, and show community support. And we were able to accomplish all of those goals and submit the feasibility study to the legislature in an unprecedented time. In addition to that, we are very, very happy with the results of the feasibility study. Our consultants feel that it's very good. We've gotten lots of positive feedback and we're very excited. So I just kind of wanted to bring everybody up to that. If we had not met that goal of September 1st, we would be waiting another year. And given everything that's going on the key right now, we couldn't afford to wait. So we really had to focus and make the timeline a real priority. And we did that and it benefited us. now that we have met that goal and it's been submitted to the legislature, we're kind of in this adjustment phase where we want to give the local delegation the opportunity to review the feasibility study. We are relatively certain that they will have, feedback, comments, questions, requests for modifications, et cetera. So once we receive that and we kind of have some dialogue back and forth, when we get that final study, our goal is to, put it on our website, give it to everyone to read. We just don't want to create confusion by putting the initial study out there and then changing it and putting it back out there and changing it and putting it back out there. So there really is kind of this adjustment phase that we're working with the local delegation on. In the meantime, what we are doing is we've put together sort of what we're calling internally the Reader's Digest version. So really summarizing the whole feasibility study in a 3 to 4 page document. It will include the 5-year pro forma. We are in very near stages of finalizing that, and we intend to make that public next week on our website, to the local media. I know there was a couple, Rachel was on here and John was on here from Siesta Sands. We intend to give that to you and put it on our website so that everyone has the opportunity to look at it. So that's really all the updates I have. I do have one final request. We are in a final push for petitions. The local delegation annual meeting where we will be presenting the feasibility study is September 30th. And so we have until September 29th to get all of our petitions in. We are 265 short of 2,000, our goal, which is very exciting for us considering no one's here. So as of today, those numbers were 1,735. Our goal was 2,000. We've met the minimum requirement, but we really would like to walk into that meeting with 265. So if you think your petition doesn't matter, you're wrong. We really need them. That's my plea tonight. I do want to say one thing. If you read the Reader's Digest version of the feasibility study and you have questions, you are free to reach out to any one of our board members. There's an info@savesiestakey.org where you can submit questions, and we will do our very best to answer your questions promptly. Catherine, you're
Tracy,
muted. Yep.
question, once again, your website, could you just say your website for people?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Our website is savesiestakey.org. If you haven't been to our website, the petitions are there. Just click under the support tab. You can also watch our 3 previous meetings, public meetings that we've held, and that will really bring you up to speed on everything, like where we started and where we are today. Our next meeting, our next public meeting will include Bill Underwood, who did our feasibility study, and give everyone the opportunity to ask questions about the feasibility study. So if anyone else has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
All right, I'm putting it in your website in the chat box. Would you just make sure I did it correctly?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, there are people asking about petitions.
Yes, and I will put in behind it the actual link to the petitions, just savesiestakey.org /petition. And there are 3 petitions in there. One is for business owners, one is for residents, and we even have a petition for property owners who are registered to vote somewhere else, because those are all tax-paying people and they all have a voice.
Okay. Can I say something, Jean?
Please.
Just want to remind everybody that if you're husband and wife, you can each sign petitions. So everybody can sign petitions.
That's right. And I want to also make one point. Signing a petition doesn't mean that you agree that we should incorporate. What it allows us to do is show the legislature and the local delegation that we want the opportunity to vote on this. We just want it on the ballot. We can analyze it and discuss it and kick the tires on the idea for all the way until next year. But right now, we have to stand up and say, we want to see this on the ballot and we want the option of incorporation.
Now, let me just say it one more time. People that are on the key are the ones that are signing the petition, correct?
That's correct. Businesses that are on the key, Siesta Key property owners that are on the key, even if they can't vote here, and then obviously residents that are on the key.
Right. And husbands and wife can also vote say it independently? Because
They can both sign a petition if they're both registered to vote here, if they're both listed on the property, if they both own businesses. We've had people who are husbands and wives who both are voting residents here, who also own businesses here. So they filled out 4 petitions. So, but it does need to be a wet ink signature. This isn't something that you can take a picture of and send it to us or electronically submit. It has to be wet ink. We have boxes in both Davidson's Drugs locations that you can drop them off. Also on our website, you can find our address and mail them in. 265, guys. If you haven't filled it out, please do so.
And when you get those numbers, you'll tell us.
Absolutely. When we reach that deadline, you guys will hear me shouting it from the
Okay.
rooftops.
Good. That's great. Great. Okay, we're a little over, but I know we might have some more things to say. Phil, were you going to mention anything about where we are in the project with the mini reefs?
I think Jean could take over that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I said that I would report next month.
Okay, great. Anybody else with any final questions or comments? Because otherwise, we're going to let you have dinner.